Today's guest is Rebecca.Cuje. She is a coach local to San Diego. Would you like to tell the audience who you are and why you do what you do?
Who I am. Big question, Lonnie.
I know, right? It's deep.
In regards to what I do in San Diego, I really essentially help people feel safe expressing their emotions and help them get past their limiting beliefs, limiting expectations of themselves, so that they can step into that, they can expand into their greatest potential. And the way that I do that is through coaching, through energy healing, and through mindfulness practices.
Before we started recording, we just took a bunch of breaths, and something that you did was you started to make more noise with it. And I really appreciated that because it felt like it gave me permission to make noise and make sound. And I've definitely, throughout my life, struggled with expressing myself vocally.
Thank you for speaking to that. That is a big part of the reason why I'm here. And when you're able to kind of go first and express or make noise or say the thing, that's exactly it. It gives permission to other people to do just that. Permission for others to step into their authenticity, into their expression, into who they truly are, instead of maybe a mask or hiding or playing a little bit smaller. And why I do what I do is because I've been that person for most of my life. Playing smaller, hiding myself, not saying the thing. And life is so much more fun and juicy and fulfilling when we get to step into what we're actually thinking, what we're actually feeling, what we actually want to say. So thank you for speaking to that.
There was a time where you worked in Manhattan at an advertising firm. Now you're here in San Diego. So I'm like curious about your journey and your spiritual awakening and how everything unfolded for you.
What really kind of started the deterioration of my Manhattan life, or my transition from that life and who I was at that time, was a trip to India in 2019. I was between jobs. I was questioning a lot of things, and all I knew is I wanted to take a solo trip abroad. And this opportunity to come to India came up, and I took it. And it was 2 weeks, a yin yoga retreat, and it just like cracked my heart open. And it was so overwhelming in like every sense of the word. It was from there that I started to question a lot of things, question the quality of my life. I think I had such quantity of things in my life at that time, but was really wanting more quality than quantity. And from there, it kind of snowballed into a myriad of different things, including energy healing, including coaching, including therapy, including yoga.
It's so fascinating. I did another podcast a couple of days ago, and her spiritual awakening happened when she went to India and she did Ashtanga yoga teacher training. And it's really interesting to just interview all these people and like see the synchronicity in things and how amazing and beautiful it is.
Getting your yoga teacher certification, going through YTT, is kind of like the gateway into so many other things, spiritual or healing modalities, and that certainly was the case for me too.
So I grew up in Philadelphia, the area of Philadelphia, and I worked in accounting. My first job, I started working crazy hours, like 60 hours a week, and I was so stressed out. And my stress release was yoga. And then I got to a breaking point and I was like, I cannot work here anymore. I'm such an extreme person where this, looking back on my whole life, like this isn't really that crazy, but I quit my job. I went to Thailand for a month and I got my yoga teacher training there. It opened me up to this curiosity and this like, there's just something missing from my life. There's just something more that I was seeking. And I don't think it really set me on the spiritual journey because I came back and I lived in Philly again and like I had a boyfriend and I got another accounting job, But there was still that thing deep inside of me that was like, no, this isn't it. So I ended up quitting that job, moving to San Diego. And when I moved to San Diego, I really started. I was like, I want to meet everyone. What are they doing? What practices are they teaching? And I got into cacao and Reiki and just really exploring to see what's out there.
Yeah. Our paths are very parallel. That trip to India was after I quit a job. I was with a boyfriend at the time and did come back and got another advertising job. And it wasn't until I left the boyfriend and started getting deeper into my practices that the move to San Diego happened, and then I left that other advertising job. But yeah, it's funny to hear your story and see the parallels.
Yeah. There's just like this deeper thing that never really goes away when you start to explore it, I think.
That was the case for me. It was that itch of, okay, there's something more. I don't know what it is. Doesn't necessarily have to be better, it's just different. And being able to go into these practices and really be able to understand and work with the intuition, that has been completely life-changing and eye-opening for me. And that's what Reiki brought to me, was this very clear voice of intuition and this relationship that started to develop. And now every time I hear it sooner and I hear it clearer, whereas in the past, it didn't even sound like me, you know, I was like, I don't know if I can believe that. And now I have the deeper relationship with it, so I can work with it a lot more.
Yeah.
Is that the case for you as well?
What that brought up is it reminded me of when I made the decision to move to San Diego. And so what happened was, like, I kind of knew, I kind of had this feeling, but I was scared. And I went to this psychic and she did an energy clearing. And at the end of it, I knew, I was like, I have to go to San Diego and I'm just going to pick a date. I'm going to tell everyone I'm leaving and I'm going to go. And it was literally in that moment of, I'm actually clear. Like, I actually feel clear once in my life. And that's when I try to make my decisions, because that is when intuition is loudest, when we're actually clear, when we're not thinking about other people or being scared of judgment, which is, I'm saying that because that's what I struggle with a lot of, like, what do other people think of me? And what are they gonna think? And what are they gonna say? And am I gonna have any friends after this? And that's what's held me back for so long. But when it's clear, the intuition comes through. Also, like, trying not to question it so much and just going with it.
Releasing the how.
Yeah. Yeah. And enjoying the present moment. You talk a lot about that in your posts, appreciating where you are right now.
I've come to learn that that is what spirituality is, at least to me, is presence, is being able to be so present in your life that you are just living moment to moment, really where you are, instead of looking ahead and what's next, or how am I going to get there, or ruminating on the past. Why did I make that decision? Is that the right decision? What if I chose differently? And I think to truly be a spiritual person, you are present. Maybe, you know, you're not checking the boxes of doing X, Y, and Z every day in your morning routine, but are you truly, like, with the people that you're with? Are you enjoying the food that's in front of you? Are you grateful for just being here and being able to have this breath? That's what it means to me.
This morning, I woke up and I asked myself, what's my intention today? And my intention was to feel the magic of this day. And I called all my guides and I said, help me set this intention. And I pulled an oracle card, and the oracle card was presence. I was like, okay, I could be present. I got this. The most profound wisdom is the simplest things. And if we actually just embodied the simple things, our life is really magical. And it's always this present moment.
I couldn't agree more.
Has there ever been, like, one moment where you're just, it kind of feels like an awakening. It's like, whoa, I get it. I know this thing.
Well, I think we talk a lot about, spiritual awakening. When was your spiritual awakening? I don't think it's one thing that happens. I think it's continuous. It's always a cycle, just like how we see in nature. There's always a season and a cycle that we're in. And personally, I'm coming out of a major death cycle and realizing that that is a part of life. That season needs to come, and spring is right around the corner, and quite literally spring is right around the corner. And the realization through that death cycle was something that I just spoke to a little bit, that spirituality piece. I had this idea of me being a spiritual person, and whatever that meant to me started to crumble. And it was a pillar that my persona was built upon. And the realization was that presence piece. I can still be a spiritual person, not being in this box that I put myself in, right? And I can still be spiritual if I do X, Y, and Z. It means nothing about me. I can be everything that I want to be. I can be this dynamic human being, not this spiritual person that I put myself in a box as to be. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I definitely had a lot of judgments towards alcohol, and then I would find myself still drinking, and it would just cause this angst or chaos within me of like conflicting ideas and beliefs of like, oh, I'm not that spiritual or whatever because I still drink alcohol. So I can totally relate.
And so it would be the idea of, oh, I can still be spiritual and drink alcohol. Can I just be present with it?
Yeah.
Right? It's bringing in the present piece. Because with presence, you'll also have intention. I think the two kind of go hand in hand. Like if I'm being solely present with this, what is my intention with it? Why am I putting this into my body? And if that reason is in line with you and who you are, and it feels good in that present moment, that says nothing about your spirituality.
Another layer of that is that we are all spiritual beings.
Exactly.
And to always be able to acknowledge that.
Yeah, we are all spiritual beings. Are you able to see that or not? Really? Yeah. And that's probably what this spiritual awakening is, right? Is, oh, I have these new lenses on, this new perspective, and now I can see how I'm a spiritual person, or I can see that I am a spiritual person, whereas before I didn't see that.
You mentioned your business. What's everything that you offer?
Right now, I am transitioning my one-on-one coaching containers into like a hybrid model, because I love community and I love bringing people together. So it's going to be a little bit of both. It'll be one-on-one coaching, group coaching. It includes mindfulness practices, energy healing, and then like tried and true coaching methods and modalities. But my goal is to really put people through like transformational containers so that they can really create the change that they need to go after what they want. Like I love learning about people's dreams and what they're passionate about, and being able to help them get there, being able to really, I always say this to my clients, is like, I'm gonna hold your hand with one hand and walk alongside you, but I'm gonna be like pushing your back gently with my other hand. And that's kind of my role with my clients. And I also love curating community and creating experiences. So whether that's in-person events, online events, retreats, being a part of different experiences and events, that's also where my passion lies.
Are there any really cool stories you can share about your clients?
One in particular, she is an artist, and she is just stepping onto this path of really owning herself as an artist and awakening to the gifts of helping others step into their artist. And it's something that we kind of started pulling on, using the art in order to really allow herself to see different parts of herself. So I do a lot of like parts work in my coaching, And for her in particular, it was really powerful to see through her own art these different parts that she has within her. And now she wants to help other people awaken those things within themselves. That's all part of the coaching work, is really being able to accept every facet of you, to even understand that you have multiple facets of you, different parts of yourself, because we are such dynamic human beings.
It's so beautiful to see all these people stepping into their true power, like what you're doing, and how you're influencing other people and you're creating space for them to step into their power, and how that's just creating a ripple effect. Looking at the macro environment and the macro perspective of everything, it's so beautiful, and I want to acknowledge you for doing that and just really tell you that you're amazing. And everything you've done and gone through is beneficial and helpful and worth it.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And, the macro, micro level, I always think about, think global, act local, right?
Yeah.
The change, the ripple effects really starts with us and the community that we touch and that we reach.
Yeah.
Even just us having this conversation, we are changing each other in this moment by sharing who we are with one another and our perspective of the world, and we'll both go off and be better people, but just because of this conversation. That kind of ties in that whole presence piece that we were talking about when we first sat down to chat is, I can think on a global scale of okay, how can I affect as many people as I can, but if I'm not acting locally and on a micro level, that change will never come globally. I want to be able to interact with people in a way that keeps my heart open, allows them to keep their heart open, and that's how we can really create the sustainable change, I think, on a macro level. It always starts with us.
Absolutely. I've been thinking about this a lot recently, of how you get to a corporation and it's ginormous, right? And the person at the top, the CFO, he never interacts with all the lower people, pretty much everyone. And how disconnected that is. And I've been questioning, maybe that's just not the most beneficial way for us to live, or the most connected way for us to live. And even going into podcasting, anything online, it's all about scaling. How do you automate these processes and get robots to do your job and scale your business so you can be a millionaire? And how disconnecting that actually is from the people. It's something that has just been going on in my thoughts recently. And these moments, this is so precious that we get to sit here and do this together. It's actually one of my really valuable things with this podcast, is to get to do in-person interviews, because I could do it, we could have done this through Zoom, but it just feels a little bit different. And that doesn't mean that I'm never gonna do a Zoom podcast. I've done a few now, and I'm going to keep doing them, but there's something so precious to be able to sit here with you in your energy and to get to know you and feel you.
I agree. And energy doesn't know time or space, so that's how you can, we can even drop in online and feel each other that way. But technology, the Zoom, it's a resource, it's a tool for us. I think that's kind of the line that you're talking about maybe being crossed over a little bit, is when the tools or the resources become more of the primary way of being rather than the secondary, and having the in-person energy kind of be the primary way to connect with people.
Okay, something that keeps coming up for me that has actually come up with every podcast that I just want to talk about, because maybe you have a perspective on it that could help me, and it has to do with being present. So as you're talking, as a lot of people are talking, I'm kind of nervous, and I'm I gotta think of something to say next. When in conversation, I'm not actually oh, what am I gonna say next? It's this flow and this ease. So I've put myself in this place of pressure to have a question or something to respond to you with as you're talking. And it's really interesting because I've heard of this, to listen to the person and to not be preparing, what am I gonna say as you're listening to the person and just be present with what you're saying and just receive it. But like it's like coming up for me.
Can we do something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's sit. I have my legs crossed. I'll uncross them. Just like allowing your feet to feel the ground, allowing your hands to come on your lap, and just allow your belly to be super, super soft. And take a deep breath. Allow the belly to come out, and then let it go. And as you're talking, you can open your eyes and we can look at each other, but I want you to see if you can keep that level of like softness in the belly and like deepness in the breath. I get nervous too. This is the 4th podcast that I'm doing ever.
Oh.
And we have lights, we got a camera, we have a microphone. Of course, there's some nerves.
Yeah.
I come back to the breath, coming back to the breath, coming back to, can I just soften here? Can I soften there? Can I come back to my body? Can I come back to this moment? We'll create that presence inevitably. And we've done it, after having a conversation or a question asked, there's this beautiful moment of silence maybe. Coming back to that breath allows those nerves to kind of dissipate or lessen, and just reminder of like, I don't have to be perfect.
And also silence is okay.
It's like a level of comfortability and trust. Not being able to need to fill the air because we're on a podcast. That may be a little bit more challenging. Oh, I'm supposed to ask a question. Oh, I'm supposed to have a response.
Yeah.
We need to move it along.
It's actually kind of exciting that I'm experiencing this and that I get to talk to you about it, because it feels like another place where I can grow and to really be present. Because that's truly, genuinely what I want. Is I want divine love and wisdom to flow through me. Like, I don't want my human ego to be like, I think this and this and this. It's like, that's really not what I want. But like, I also acknowledge that happens.
Mm-hmm. The ego will always be a part of us.
Yeah.
It's being able to work with it, and okay, I hear you. Can I still come back to truth?
Yeah. And I also, what I'm thinking now is to not let it be louder than truth. And like also discern, is this truth or is this ego?
That's the path sometimes.
Yeah.
What tools can I lean on to figure out what the truth is? We were having a conversation before about delusion, about Maya, and when we get stuck in what we think is the truth, sometimes we don't even know that that's not the truth. And it's being able to, I think, understand that and then be able to come back. Right? And sometimes that does, in my case, what we were talking about is like part of me had to die and then I come back.
Yeah.
Maybe we veer off the path a little bit and then we come back. It's like continuously coming back to the truth, coming back home to yourself, whatever that is. We don't have to use words to create that connection or feel each other. We're doing it just now, being able to eye gaze, to energetically feel one another, to start syncing our breath, that's how we really can start to feel one another and start to tune our nervous systems to one another, feel really comfortable so that we don't have to use language.
I got a good one for you.
Let's hear it.
Okay. So on one of your posts, you wrote, there are no wrong choices. Can you give an example of a choice that you've made that someone may say, oh, that was wrong, but what you actually learned from it?
Yeah, so actually I've had a coach say that to me many times. There are no wrong choices. You make a choice and then you make it the right choice. You can't go back.
Yeah.
So that was the right choice. You're going to learn from it.
Yeah.
No matter what happens. In many eyes, me stepping into entrepreneurship was the wrong choice. Or the wrong choice at the wrong time. Or the right choice and then was the wrong choice. And I have to stand firmly in my belief that it was the right choice for me and keep moving ahead. And having other people's perspectives and opinions does me no good because they can think whatever they want about me. I'm not in control of what you think about me or what anyone thinks about me. I can only control myself, right? And so for me, stepping into entrepreneurship, of course it was the right choice. It was the choice I made.
Yeah.
Some may not agree, and that's okay. I can't control their thoughts of me.
And also, so every single person has a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And when we try to like take into account their perspectives, for me, it just becomes overwhelming.
We're all in our different realities.
Yeah, exactly. That's also like another reason why it's so important to let go of judgment of other people, because we're all in our own realities. And it's so funny when I notice sometimes someone judges me and I don't care at all. Other times when people judge me, then I do care. And this goes into like, if you're feeling triggered by something that someone else says, there's a reason. Like there's something in you that you get to look at now.
Yeah, I think that when someone triggers you or annoys you or aggravates you, it is an opportunity for you to integrate whatever is being activated within you.
Yeah.
It's being activated for some reason, figuring out why that is, and then being able to integrate it. Because no one can make you feel any certain way, right?
Yeah.
It's your interpretation of however they're showing up or whatever they're saying to you. Oh, you made me feel this way, or you said this and I feel this. You made me feel that way. No, they did not. Your interpretation of that is making you feel that way. And so I think utilizing those triggers instead of, places where, oh, they triggered me, I can't hang out with them, or I don't want to see them. Oh, they triggered me. Why is that? Right? It's the self-inquiry piece and being able to realize why that's being stirred in you, to integrate whatever piece of you maybe needs to be integrated because it's stirring up something. Why is that? I think about that with like jealousy or envy. Feeling jealous or envious of someone, almost like a trigger, right? It's what are you wanting to step into? What does that person have or not have that you're envious or jealous of? Because that's where you're being called to grow and expand. It's what you're looking to step into. That's why you're envious or jealous of that person.
Yeah, it's always, what do they have that I want? Or that's what I find with me when I'm looking at someone else and I'm like, like, oh, they have something that I want.
Or how they're showing up in the world. Oh, they're acting that way. They can't act that way, or I want to act that way. What gives them permission to be like that? If I can't be like that, well, why are you not allowing yourself to be like that? Or show up in whatever way they're showing up, or dressing however they want to dress, or having what they have. Where are you not allowing yourself to show up in the way that they are?
Do you feel you have any messages you want to share with the world?
If I could have a microphone, to all the ears in the world, I think the message that I would want to share is to come back to love. Come back to love. I think being able to open your heart to love is the greatest gift. And to live from an heart open space, continuously moment to moment, it's a practice. But the more you can open your heart up to love, starting with yourself and then allowing it to permeate out, that is the greatest gift. That is why we are here, to love and to be loved. And I think a lot of thoughts and behaviors and actions stem from either love or fear. And if we can operate from a place of love as continuously as we can, the world will be a better place.
I resonate with that so much. And it's been such a journey of to slow down enough to be aware of what I'm about to do and what that's rooted in. Is this rooted in love or is this rooted in fear? And that feels like such a journey to discover, like, oh wait, I thought this was out of love. I thought that I loved this person so much that I would do anything for them, but really it was because you're scared of losing them.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole journey in and of itself.
Right.
Being able to come to that conclusion and
Yeah.
see those two things and have the awareness to really be able to see them for what they are. And then it's a whole nother thing to realize which one it actually was, right?
And that could be part of Maya. You think you know the truth.
Exactly.
But one day you wake up and you realize, whoa, I had no idea. And it's all part of the experience, the human experience. It's why we're here. We've come to do this. The fear and the love and the exploration.
And that's what makes life worth living.
It is.
It's like, that's where we have our fun. It's like learning these lessons. And I don't want to say a big part of my life, but I think part of my life was not making those risky decisions or changes or choices because of my perfectionism. And
yes, I have that too.
Like wanting to make the right choice.
Yes.
Not realizing that whatever choice I make is going to be right. And that I'm going to learn from every choice that I ever am going to make. So can I just make the choice that's going to feel like love to me in the moment? That is truth. Maybe I learned that it was out of fear at some time, but in that moment, who I was when I made that choice, it was out of love. And that's how you just like continuously keep moving forward.
Yeah. What are some ways to open up your heart? Like because it's been such a journey of discovering tools, techniques, meditations. Cacao ceremonies are my favorite. Yeah. Also, I love how I just asked you this question.
And you're answering it.
Okay, one more thing though is how I'm definitely super empathic. And when I'm around other people who have their heart open, I can feel it. And I'm like, oh, you feel so good. I appreciate you so much.
I think my answer is more simple. It's coming back to the breath. And what I try to imagine is like the exterior of the heart, like melting and softening and relaxing. And it's always starting with the breath though, because if your breath isn't deep and open and surrendered, your heart isn't going to be. So for me, it's being able to like come back to the breath and like imagining the heart softening and opening. And you can do that at any time. You don't need cacao. You don't need a 20-minute meditation. You don't need, yoga pose. It can just be like, okay, can I just like open myself up to the possibility of life right now? Have you read the book Dear Lover by David Dida? He talks a lot about surrendering and keeping the heart open and using that feminine energy to let life just continuously pour through. And so that's also what I imagine is, the heart softening, the edges melting, and life, energy, prana just pouring through whatever needs to happen in the moment. A practice. But simple.
Yes. Do you guide breathwork sessions?
So I guide breathwork techniques.
Okay.
As a yoga teacher, using some pranayama techniques. I do not guide breathwork sessions as a breathwork facilitator.
Okay.
But simple breath techniques, yes. Especially getting into meditations or helping people with anxiety or just like trying to create more presence in their life.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Breathe Your Keys?
Yes.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've been going. I think I've gone 4 times so far. I love it there.
Me too.
Yeah, they're really amazing.
Yeah, it's great. I love the combination of the breath work and or yoga, cold plunge, hot tub, sauna.
Yes.
It's really powerful. Yeah, good change of state.
So if someone were to go to you for Reiki, what could they expect?
Relaxation, calmness, grounding, a sense of peace. The two things that I hear most from Reiki clients are, I'm so relaxed. And I feel so good. Reiki's really a realignment of your energy. So being able to kind of rid yourself of that stuck, stagnant energy and bring you back to your place of deepest alignment. And, you know, sometimes that does happen in one session. Sometimes it happens in many sessions. Thinking about, you know, us like layers of an onion, right? Like we just keep peeling them off.
Yeah.
And we're energetic beings. So our energy is always different moment to moment, and being able to really aid people wherever they're at on their journey to help get them back closer and closer to alignment is what they can expect when they come to me.
How can everyone find you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Well, Instagram is the new business card, right?
Yeah.
It's where all the information is. So my handle's at Rebecca, Rebecca.Cuje, Cuje, or my website, ReikiWithRebecca.org, ReikiWithRebecca.org.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me on. So lovely to meet you.